Now, aliens use the moon as a base. Different types of aliens are on there, including Earth people. And sometimes people will say, oh, look, there's a UFO on a video, and then they try and recreate it with a CGI. And they do recreate it, and they say, well, that's how the original was done. Just because you can recreate something doesn't mean that's how the original was done. I don't know if you can see the spacecraft there. Now, they use craters, and they enter through the craters, so that's why sometimes you see lights in craters. There are structures on the moon, but they're generally older ones, and obviously the aliens use the far side of the moon as well. I don't know whether that's to do with the heat from the sun or why, or whether they're just trying to avoid showing us. But I must say this video is sponsored by this book here, Black Ops, Alien Spirits, Bigfoot and Our Untold History. I have a copy of it myself. It is a fantastic book. You can get it on Amazon. Highly recommend it. Forgive me if you already know the story of Travis Walton, but for those that don't, there's a movie out called Fire in the Sky. Really good movie, actually. Travis admits that some of it the filmmakers took a few liberties on, but the story of Travis Walton, I think it was in the late 70s or very early 80s, was driving back from working. Him and 6 other colleagues were loggers in the States, which they cut down trees, and they was coming back one night and they saw this bright orangey red glow, and they thought it was the forest was on fire, so they went to investigate. Turns out it wasn't a fire, it was a UFO hovering near the tree line. Travis got out and decided to walk near the UFO. The UFO sent a light beam out and knocked him, I think, about 10 foot into the air and then onto the ground. Travis obviously was either unconscious or dead at that point, according to his colleagues, who decided to split. So they drove really fast away from the area. As they was driving, they all realised that that's not the right thing to do, to leave the guy there. So they went back, and when they got back, Travis and the spaceship had gone. They had no choice but to drive home. They told the sheriff, and next thing you know is the sheriff thought that they had killed Travis and buried him. They forced the 6 to have lie detector tests, and every single one passed, which was pretty much unheard of. You don't normally get 6 people telling exactly the same story unless it's true. The sheriff and other people went out to the area over the next few days, and they came across radiation. You know, they took various different bits of equipment, etc. I could see radiation marks on trees, I think, if I remember correctly, but still no sign of Travis. I think about 6 or 7 days passed, and then finally Travis phoned his sister to come and pick him up. He was on the outskirts of town. He wasn't naked, but the film says he was. So he was picked up and subsequently told his story that obviously he was on a spaceship. Now, the original story was obviously he thought that the aliens were trying to experiment on him while they had him in the ship. But, and I've listened to virtually everything Travis has ever said, and early on I thought, no, it sounded to me like they hit him with a beam and then realised that they shouldn't really have done that, and then picked him up and repaired him and healed him, and it took about 6 days to heal him, and then he was dropped back off. Now, he was awake once or twice during the 6 days and could actually see the aliens. Anyway, recently Travis has actually said the same thing. He says that I think these were actually trying to help me. They weren't trying to operate on me or trying to kill me. So I'm not sure which aliens they were, whether or not they were Zetas or Orions. What has an owl got to do with aliens? Well, actually, the little greys implant abductees with images of owls. They do other creatures as well, but generally owls. So it's a false memory. So when you wake up in the morning, you think, oh, I saw an owl outside my window. No, it was probably a little grey. Now, it's possible to actually implant false memories. Here, look, so we're doing it now. We can actually do this. So it's not inconceivable that the little greys and other aliens do it. Now, just while I've got you, don't forget to sign up to my YouTube channel. And the only reason why I say that is just in case TikTok takes me down. You've still got me there if you're interested, and also I show live chats there, which you don't get on TikTok. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Our True History. Just search How True History Parts and subscribe. Do you remember this guy? from 2003. He's the guy that invented the Beagle 2, which was a probe that was due to land on the moon. He successfully did it, to the point that it got to the moon. However, because he was British and an independent space entrepreneur, he wasn't part of NASA or the anything else that was to do with the establishment. I knew what was going to happen. The probe didn't work. Now everyone's going to say, "Oh, well, that's just a malfunction," but there's a history of aliens stopping probes, etc. So we've got SpaceX rocket here in 2016 that exploded, but more importantly was this Russian one, and I'd heard about this a long time ago, and it's a very true story. Russian probe went to Mars's moon. Well, it didn't make it, and I'll tell you that in the next video. Aliens or UFOs do interfere with spaceships and probes. Many cases you can have a look on site. So for example, Voyager 2 had an issue, but people couldn't work out what it was. Very strange. But then they ended up using the usual one where it was someone forgot to do something or whatever. But that's not the most important one. This one here is an image from the Russian probe that was going to Phobos, which is a moon of Mars, back in 1988. Now that object, over 3 or 4 pictures, got closer and closer. It was massive, absolutely massive, and then the probe just died. So in other words, that object was coming to wipe out the probe from landing on there, because obviously there's aliens already there. And now if you're new to my channel, go back and watch video 1 onwards. They're all different, so that's why you need to watch